Study Partner Program.
Conflict. During this lesson, you will learn about the different types of conflict that exist in a story. There are 4 different types of conflict that can exist in a story. They are person versus person, person versus self, person versus nature, and person versus technology. Person versus person is when 2 or more characters have a conflict with each other. Person versus self is when a character has a physical or mental ailment. Person versus nature is when a character has to face environmental issues. Person versus technology is when the character has a conflict with some sort of robot or artificial intelligence. Let's look at an example problem. Woodsong contains a person versus nature type of conflict. The main character has to struggle through very cold regions in order to finish the dog sled race. Let's look at another example. The story of Snow White contains a person versus person conflict. The witch in the story poisons Snow White with the tainted apple. The story Broken Chain contains a person versus self-type conflict. The main character in the story is not very confident and hates his cricket team. He thinks that they ruin his physical appearance and any chance to get a date with the girl he likes. Let's look at one more example. In the book Frankenstein, a human being is created in a lab by putting together body parts, then using electricity to bring it to life. The human then turns into a monster that attacks other characters in the book. This is an example of person versus technology. Let's try some practice problems. In the book Hatchet, the main character has to survive the woods of Canada after his plane crashes. What type of conflict is this? A, person versus person. B, person versus self. C, person versus nature. D, person versus technology. Did you choose C, person versus nature, as your answer? Awesome. The main character in Hatchet has to build a shelter, build a fire, hunt for food, and other activities to survive in the wilderness. He encounters a moose and a tornado during his venture. Both of these are part of nature. Let's try another practice problem. In the book, I, Robot, the main character fights for his life against robots that are trying to take over the city. What type of conflict is this? A, person versus person. B, person versus self. C, person versus nature. D, person versus technology. Did you choose D, person versus technology, as your answer? Good job. The main character is fighting against an army of robots. Robots are technology. Let's try another one. In the book Crazy Lady, Maxine struggles with alcoholism. What type of conflict is this? A, person versus person. B, person versus self. C, person versus nature. Or D, person versus technology. Did you choose B, person versus self, as your answer? You are correct. Maxine is struggling with the disease of alcoholism. This is a battle that is within Maxine. She is not fighting against anyone or anything else. Therefore, it is person versus self. All right, let's try this one. In the story Cinderella, Cinderella does not get along with her stepsisters. What type of conflict is this? A, person versus person. B, person versus self. C, person versus nature. Or D, person versus technology. Did you choose A, person versus person, as your answer? I think you've got this. Cinderella does not get along with her stepsisters. That is a conflict between two or more characters. During this lesson, you learned about the different types of conflict that can exist in a story. You did an awesome job. Congratulations.
This has been a podcast of the Governor's Study Partner